So after reviewing the first game in the series, I decided to tackle on the second game because I heard from a lot of sources just looking all over the internet that this was the best of all the Fable series. Especially since I really enjoyed part 3, which I will be doing a review of very soon, link in the description whenever that arrives. I really enjoyed part 3, so I figured that going into this can't be much different. And I was very wrong. I was originally not going to do a full review on Fable 2 since I was just so disappointed with this game, but I decided to just go ahead and do that. I didn't want to make it too negative because I was literally going to title the video Everything Wrong with Fable 2. So instead of doing that, we're just going to do a normal review. I'm going to talk about the good, talk about the bad, and just talk about the miserable. But anyway, let's get into it. Starting off with the story, which is the most disappointing thing ever. Because one, we go back, just like I said in Fable 1, the illusion of choice. So it seems like Peter and his team didn't learn anything from the previous game, and they decided to basically copy-paste what was in the first game, put it in the second one, and just kind of twist it a little bit. And the biggest issue with the franchise in general has been the illusion of choice, which is we don't really have a whole lot of options as far as changing the story at all. There is the good and becoming evil thing, but it doesn't actually change how the story plays out. I could go into extreme detail about every single moment in the entire game. That would probably be a video on its own. But I just wanted to kind of quickly summarize something. Like, for example, in the very beginning of the game, which I am going to be spoiling the hell out of this game, so be warned. Yeah, 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2. All right. In the beginning of the game, you start off as the little kid, the Sparrow, and you're going with your sister. Both of you are poor, you're orphaned, you lost your parents. Then you meet up with Teresa from the first game. It's the sister. She tells you that the guy that's selling the music box at the store doesn't know what he really has, and he's selling it for really cheap. It was only 5 gold. And what she was expecting you to do was get it so that you can make a wish and probably wish yourself out of being poor, basically. The thing that went immediately into my head, if I could choose between being good or evil, why couldn't I try robbing some people? Or maybe like go into a store and start like jacking some of their stuff and then reselling it back to them. You know, doing like really scummy shit that would in turn make you evil. That way it can kind of change the pace of the game. Instead, we were forced down this path, very linear in the beginning of the game, to kind of just go through each quest one at a time. And I tried doing multiple playthroughs of this to see if there was any other way to do it, and there literally isn't any other way. There's just this path. So once again, in the series, we're thought to be the good guy and do the good thing of saving the world and blah, blah, blah. Why don't I have a real choice in being evil if I wanted to? Which for this playthrough, I was trying to just do good. But still, I thought about it. I'm like, damn, what if I wanted to do a true evil playthrough? You really can't. The only thing that really makes you evil is being a douchebag and doing dumb shit like farting in people's faces or like killing civilians for no reason. You know, like it's just being an asshole, and that's it. That's what evil turns into in this game. So anyway, eventually you get the box. Your sister wishes to go to the castle because, I don't know, kids wish about stuff like this. You go to the castle, you meet the king. And then the king sees that there's a power in you, and he was being really nice about it. And then he decides out of nowhere that, oh, you got some evil power in you. I'm just going to kill you straight out. And the thing that's just really weird about this is that both of the kids have been really, really nice. And it seemed like the king was also really, really nice. So this whole pace of how this story is playing out is just extremely weird, and it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It reminds me a lot of how Disney treated Luke Skywalker in the newest Star Wars movies. Like, why the hell would Luke Skywalker kill his Padawan? It just doesn't make any sense. But anyway, that's a completely different story. But that's basically what they were trying to do here. It was that same type of thing where the king just overreacted, killed both of them, and then Teresa is magically there to like revive you and continue the story, basically. Which we have to talk a little bit about Teresa in a second, but let me get to that. But anyway, that's the whole illusion of choice thing that I was mentioning. There really isn't much of a choice. You're down this linear path of story, and then this game really lacks the sandbox feel of the previous game, so the very first one. At least in the first game, you could just completely abandon doing any main quest after you become an adult, and you can just go straight into just exploring and doing whatever you want to do. In part 2, there's a lot of limitations to just straight up exploring and ignoring the main storyline. Mainly because there are literally places that are blocked off. So you can't go to certain cities because the bridge is broken or the door is locked or whatever it is. So you pretty much are forced to do the main quest line just so you can get more access to more story quests and more places to explore. So this is a big downside to this game. So now let's talk a little bit about Teresa, which I was actually thinking about making a full video talking about Teresa because I truly think that she's evil. I was looking all over the internet about this and I found one guy that did a really awesome post. So I'm going to get to that. I'll do a video about that eventually and I'll link it in the description again. But yeah, we really need to talk about Teresa. But in this game, I just wanted to touch on it real quick. The biggest issue with having her around is that she was like a pest the entire time, telling you everything you have to do, especially for the first hour of the game. Oh my God, she just wouldn't shut up.
There's a chest near your caravan. I've left a few things inside that might prove useful. Meet me by the gates when you're ready to leave. Now come with me.
Now, look down towards the lake. The seal will allow you to enter that tomb.
You can now channel the experience you have collected into strength, skill, or will. You need to learn a will ability to activate the Color's Gate. Look within yourself. Now use the knowledge you have gained so far. Use your newfound abilities to defeat them. Make your way to Bowerstone. I will meet you there.
The thing that really pisses me off about tutorials in games is that it seems like the developer, especially like in this case Peter, was trying really hard to show people how to play a game that already previously came out. This is the sequel to a game that people already are very familiar with. So I understand that new people are going to come in or whatever, but we should have a choice over the tutorial, like to skip it or whatever. But with this game, it's like Peter literally thought that we were just dumb or something. Like we needed to be told about every freaking thing in the entire game, step by step. I really hate when developers do this. So now let's just talk about the gameplay. The gameplay itself, very familiar with the first game. It added in a lot of additions. So there are some of the stuff that we see in part 3, which part 3 definitely added more quality of life and definitely did a better job than in part 2. But you could see where Lionhead was trying to do with this. They actually made it so that you can buy businesses, build more relationships. I really like the way that you can kind of like AoE entertain everybody in the area to make them all like you. But there was a double-edged sword with this process. The thing is that if let's say you were trying to build a relationship with one person, let's say it was going to be your wife or something, and you're talking to her, the moment that you start like flirting with her and doing all sorts of stuff that is meant for her, a giant crowd of people would show up and start like hating on you. Like you'll see things like negative karma and stuff like that pop up on top of their head. So it's like super annoying to try to figure out like where to take her. Like that, literally I had moments where I was taking my wife to like a totally different area, like in the alleyway in the back of the city, and still people would hunt me down and find me. Like that shit was just ridiculous. And then talking about like the property building and getting all that stuff, money was really hard to come by in this game. It's super grindy. And I know that this is something that part 3 definitely fixed, but in part 2, oh my God, like buying a business barely gives you any money every 5 minutes. Like at the most, I was jacking up my prices to 100% and I was getting like $150 to like $200, you know, a business, and they're really expensive. You'll be spending $3,000 to nearly $10,000 on each little establishment just for them to pay you out $200 every like 5 minutes. It's really grindy and really slow with making money. Even when I was just straight up questing, I tried just going out, just only doing the main quest, only doing side quests. I was barely making money doing that too. So like this game like really makes you feel poor, just like your character basically. So it's really, I just feel like it just kind of flipped a lot when I went and I played the third game first before playing this. Now it just felt like it just dragged really hard. Another thing I found really dumb was the weight loss system in this game. I didn't realize at first that when I was eating foods to substitute like basically potions, I was getting fat every single time. So by like at least the first like hour into being an adult and just running around in that, I was like gigantic, man. I wish I had the footage of all this, but I was at the hotel, so I didn't have any footage to really like put together. But man, like I was a monster running around. I went online and I tried to figure out how to lose weight. And it was very vague on the internet. And the thing is that I wish that this stuff was actually said in the game on how to lose weight. Maybe it would have been better if they implemented some system where, you know, you're constantly running and you're never eating, you'll lose weight over the days or whatever. You know, but it doesn't work like that. You have to buy celery. And that's literally that's like the only way really to lose your weight. I haven't found any other ways. There might be, I don't know, but I looked all over the internet and most people were just saying buy celery or buy like vegetables. There's like certain types of vegetables that you lose weight with. So the thing that was super grindy with this whole process is that I literally had to go to the store, only buy one celery because every store for some reason only sells one of each type of anything. No matter if it's weapons, armor, whatever, it's only one type of everything. So I'll buy the celery, I'll have to go lay down, go to sleep, wake up the next day, run back to the store, maybe even jump to a different town so that I can get the celery from there. Like it was so tedious, very annoying. And I had to do this probably like a good like 10 to 20 times before I lost all the weight that I had because I was, like I said, ginormous. So like it was really hard for me to lose the weight. So I just thought it was really dumb. And I kind of wish that it worked like that in real life. If we could just eat celery and lose weight like that, then shit, maybe I got to try doing that. Now let's talk about the combat system. I really like how they fixed the melee combat in this game. It feels a little bit more fluid. It feels like at least when you start building up your character and you start leveling up, you start getting like the block. You start unlocking like, you know, extra moves and stuff, and it really enhances the gameplay. I like that Lionhead really did learn from the previous game, and they saw how fast the animations were. You know, I was complaining about that in my other review. Well, in this game, they actually warm up their attacks. You can see when they're about to strike at you, so you have a chance to block before they hit you. So this is the biggest improvement with this. But when it comes to the range combat and also the magic, I just feel like they didn't really do anything new, and it also just is very boring compared to how in-depth I think the melee combat is. While it's still meant to be very simple, I like that I had options with melee. But with range, it's literally just point and shoot. So the guns are always the same, the crossbow, whatever. And there's no bows in this game. I just realized that right now too. Like, where's the bows? And then when we talk about magic, I feel like they totally ruined the system because it was so good in the first game where they had it so that you can program your bar, like basically like you can hold down right trigger and then it'll pull up like 4 buttons you can press, A, B, X, whatever. They didn't have that in this game. They decided to go with this whole like you hold the button down and then it's supposed to warm up to get to the next level. It's supposed to be the leveled up version of whatever you're trying to achieve. So let's say, for example, you put fire on the bottom, level 1, and then on level 2 you're gonna put electricity. Then on level 3 you're gonna put like summon zombies or something. You basically have to hold the button down until it reaches that to unleash it. The only annoying thing about this is that when you're in the heat of battle, you're not really paying attention to that. So sometimes it can overcharge too fast and you'll end up casting the wrong ability that you didn't want to cast in the first place. So I really wish that they did the old system back in part 1. It just made it much easier to kind of make builds. And this one is just annoying. So NPC interaction, let's talk about that. I did touch on that, talking about the whole thing with my wife and taking her to a alleyway and trying to like flex on her back there and then having a bunch of people show up. Well, the problem with this whole system is that when you get really renowned and you start really like impressing people, they start to really love you, and it gets to the point where they just want to follow you around everywhere. So I had a moment where I was trying to hunt down the gargoyles, and there was a gargoyle in the city. So the moment I pulled out my gun and started shooting at the thing, everybody in the whole area started getting fear and they started getting angry. And literally a guard ran up to me and said, "You gotta pay the fine." And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what? Who thought that this was a good idea? I was trying really hard to be really nice in this game. So to have that happen to me was like super insult. I really, really hated it. Right there, I wanted to shut the game off because I was so pissed. In the third game, we didn't have to worry about stuff like that. We could shoot the gun and they, people didn't really care. And maybe that was, something that people saw as a problem, but honestly, it fixed that issue. Let's talk a little bit about the customization. The problem in Fable 2 is that there's no way to preview the item that you're trying to get. So let's say if you're trying to get your fashion souls or something, you can't do that without literally spending the hard-earned money that I was already saying was very hard to earn on something just so you could not like it and then have to either sell it back or just like live with it. The third game, another one that learned from this issue, or even at the worst case, buying a hairstyle and then you literally have to buy back your old hairstyle just so you can wear it again if you didn't like the one you bought. Like, that's such a waste of money. But anyway, whatever. It is what it is, I guess. And then on top of that, the character models are ugly as hell looking. They're like, Jesus Christ. Like, even just looking at my character, I didn't want to spin my camera so I could look at him in the face because he was that ugly. I don't know what happened over there in Lionhead Studios. They just made a lot of the characters very, very ugly. Even to the point where my wife, she was playing through the game. She landed up as a woman marrying another woman because she felt like the male characters were too ugly to marry. Like, it was literally to that point. She started marrying women. Like that's some next level shit because she would never even think about doing that in any other game. Now let's talk about graphics really quick. I just think the graphics are the worst in this game. Especially after playing Fable 1, the Anniversary Edition, I was so impressed with the graphics in that. So to go into part 2 and then see these ugly ass textures, the ugly ass character models, and then just overall, like, there was nothing really pretty to look at. And then also the really, really bad performance, even on Xbox One. I understand this is an Xbox 360 game that was probably just ported over, whatever, emulated. But still, like, it's miserable. The constant, like, stuttering lag, especially when you start casting a spell, like you're warming up a big spell, forget it. Like, it just crash out the game, basically. Then there's also the terrible animations. Oh my God. Like, I don't know what anybody saw in this, but just take a look real quick at the animation of shoveling. At least in part 3, they fixed it a little bit, even though it still is kind of cringy. But part 2, oh my God. And then the little at the end of it is hilarious. And then also, why didn't we get voice acting for our main character? I understand the first one didn't have it, but at least the third game had the decency to kind of have a little bit of voice acting. So it kind of built a little bit more feel for your own character. In this one, all we get is the Oh, and why is my dude sliding around as if he's driving the hover car from Diddy Kong Racing? The animations are terrible in this game. Overall, though, I gotta say, Fable 2 is easily the worst of the Fable series that I've played. I don't know what everybody was smoking. Like, I seriously don't understand why so many people thought Fable 2 was a great game. Maybe it's the nostalgia. I think I'm just going to put it up to that because, like, there's no way that you can possibly play this in 2021 and think this is still a good game. It's still a masterpiece. You know what I mean? You're better off playing the first game because even the first game had its issues, but it still had a better storyline to kind of keep it going than in this one. Like, the story was just fucking terrible. Let's talk about like even just talking really quick about the prison scene, like how dumb that was implemented. Why didn't I get another illusion of choice thing? Why didn't I get the option to maybe build up a team to assault on the prison to go rescue the mage instead of literally giving up all my weapons, giving up all my freedom to become a prisoner at the prison? Like, it's so dumb. So yeah, it was like moments like that really made me hate the story. I dragged through it as much as I could. Like after the prison scene, I literally couldn't play it anymore, and I sat there and I watched my wife play through the game, which she just finished it the other day, and we were both like, thank God it's over, because we never gonna play this game ever again. If anything, I would recommend the first game, and I would recommend the third game, which I will make a review very soon on. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of quickly touch base on Fable 2. This is probably still a long video anyway, so it's not very quick, but anyways, I'm gonna stop here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. And leave a thumbs up if you liked the video. Thumbs down if you didn't. And I will see you in the next one. Later, guys.